Okay, children, let's move on to the next topic in the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation. The topic covered here is inheritance of one gene. Inheritance of one gene. Okay, a transfer of one gene from one generation to another. Otherwise, this is also known as a monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross. You know the meaning? Mono means one. Transfer of one gene. Okay, or a hybridization experiment on one character, monohybrid cross. And the character he considered was height. Character Mendel. Who considered Mendel? Gregor Mendel, father of genetics. Okay, considered or experimented on one character, namely height of the plant. And which plant? In which plant? In Pisum sativum. And you know that Pisum sativum has many different characters like height, then flower color, seed shape, pod shape, pod color and flower position. And he conducted experiment on height first. And there are two varieties of plants. One is tall and another one is dwarf. Okay. So these were true breeding plants. True breeding means the plants which show the same character for many generations. True breeding tall means all the plants in that category were tall in nature for many generations. And dwarf plants means the plants in that variety are dwarf in nature for many generations. So he selected two varieties, tall and dwarf, and crossed them. Okay, crossed them. Then he represented the tall plant with the letter capital T. Okay, and the dwarf plant was represented by the letter small t. Okay, capital T represents tallness, and dwarfness, shortness, is represented by small t, not d. Remember, tallness capital T and dwarfness small t. And see the term used here, homozygous dominant tall and homozygous recessive tall. Homozygous. And okay, let's deal with them later. Now, what did he do? He selected, the procedure was like this. What did he do? Yes, here. Selected two plants with the contrasting characters. Okay. First step, selection of plants. Two varieties of plants. Second one, removal of anther, which is known as emasculation. Second step, removal of anther or andrecium. That is the male part, male reproductive part in the flower. What type of flower is produced in pea plant? Bisexual flower. Both the male and female reproductive parts are present in the same flower. So the second step was the emasculation, that is removal of andrecium or anthers from the flower. And this flower, this plant is considered as a female plant or female parent. Clear, no? In this plant, what is not there now? Anther or a male part is not present. So this can be considered as a female plant. Clear, no? What anthers are not present in this plant. These anthers were removed. Okay. Now, he collected pollen grains from other plants. Now, and he called them as a male plant. Okay, anthers are present. So he collected the anthers or pollen grain from other plant which is known as a male plant or male parent and transferred these pollen grains into the female plant from which anthers were or pollen grains are removed. Okay, and what type of pollination is this? Cross pollination. He did the cross pollination, transferred the pollen grains from a male plant to the stigma of the female plant. Okay, so what did he do? Cross pollination. And after cross pollination, what happens? Fertilization takes place and flowers are formed, then seeds were formed, and these seeds were germinated and plants were produced. Plants were produced, and these generation of plants produced after the cross pollination are known as a F1 generation, first filial generation. First generation. Okay, first filial generation or F1 generation. Now see, capital T and small t. You know that during gamete formation, what happens? Each gamete receives half the set of chromosome. That means haploid. Okay, you know spermatozoa, then sperm. Spermatozoa means sperm and what is that? Spermatogonium. Spermatogonium and oogonium. 2n. That means diploid. Diploid in nature. Then gametes are haploid in nature. That means it receives only the half set, one set of genes, one set of chromosomes. Now what is gene? What is chromosome then? Chromosomes are organelles present in the cell which helps in the transmission of characters from generation to generation, one generation to another. You know everything about that. Number of chromosomes, then ploidy, haploidy, diploidy, etc. Okay. Now, and what is the number of chromosomes in human beings? 23 pairs. 46 in number. That means 23 pairs. 23 from mother and 23 from father. And together 46 in number. And each gamete contains how many numbers? 23 numbers. 23 numbers of chromosomes in human beings. Likewise here also, during gamete formation, only half the chromosome. If 2 chromosomes are there, only 1 chromosome goes to the gamete, and genes are units of chromosomes. Genes are the units of chromosomes which transfers characters from parents to their children. Gene is the unit of chromosome which carries character from parent to children. Clear, no? Gene is the unit present in chromosome which carries character from parent to children. Okay. Now, what happens here? During gamete formation, we represented here capital T, small t. Then gametes are produced, and each gamete here inside the blue circle, one capital T is represented here, and in another plant only one the gamete, that is all the gametes were having only one type of chromosome or gene, only one type of gene, that is a small t. Okay, now these get crossed, combine, and form a plant having the genes capital T and small t. Okay, parents both parents were one true breeding tall, another true breeding dwarf, one having capital T only, another having small t only, and their children, their progeny, were having both the characters of both the genes, capital T as well as a small t. Clear? And this condition is known as a heterozygous condition. Heterozygous means different, homo, same, small t, same, capital T, same. That is homozygous. And capital T, small t, heterozygous, different genes. And These different genes are known as alleles. Now we don't say these as genes, these are alleles. Then what is an allele? Alleles or allelomorphs. Alleles or allelomorphs. Okay. Allele is the alternative form of a gene. Allele is the alternative form of a gene. That means a different, variety or a opposite form of a gene. So in the case of height, two traits, tall, another one dwarf. The gene representing height, tallness is a capital T, and the gene representing dwarfness is a small t. Capital T represents tallness, small t represents dwarfness. That means these two are alleles. Capital T is the allele of a small t is the allele of a capital T. Alternative forms. Okay, clear now? Tall. The character tall is represented by the gene T, and capital T is the capital T and small t are two different alleles. Capital T and small t are alleles of the gene T. Likewise, if we take the flower color red and white, we represent the color by the letter R, capital R and small r, and this capital R and small r the alleles of the color, flower color. Okay. Likewise, now let us go back to the experiment. Clear now? So here homozygous tall and heterozygous tall. Homozygous is tall, capital T, heterozygous tall, capital T and small t. See, in the first generation, F1 generation, first filial generation, all plants were tall in nature. Then what happened to the dwarfness? See, in the parents were one tall, another one dwarf, but the children, okay, first generation offsprings were all tall in nature. No dwarf plants were produced. Then what happened to the dwarf character? Okay, we are going to deal with that now. See what happened to the dwarf character then. Now, okay. Now see, these plants, capital T and small t having plants were allowed to self-fertilize. Self-fertilize or selfing. Mendel allowed the plants to undergo self-fertilization or self-pollination, and you know that all the plants were capital T and small t in nature. That means two alleles were present in the plants, and each plant produced two types of gametes, one having 50%. 50% of the gametes were carrying the allele capital T, and 50% of the gametes were carrying the allele small t. Both the parents. Okay. See, in the first plant, the gametes were one capital T, another small t. In another parent also capital T and small t. That means 50%, 50%. Okay. Now, he allowed them to fertilize. If fertilization takes place, what happens? Let's see. We can represent that in a table or square, which is known as Punnett square. We'll say about that later. Now see, 4 gametes are here. From one plant, 2 types, capital T, small t. Another plant also capital T and small t. And if they get crossed, if capital T combines with the capital T, what type of combination is produced? Capital T. And if capital T combines with the small t, what combination? The plant having capital T and small t. And if small t combines with the small t, then the plant will be bearing what allele? Both the small t and small t. Okay. So here see, Two plants can produce four types of four plants. Four plants, two plants can produce four plants. Three were tall in nature and one is dwarf. We know that the combination capital T and small t is tall in nature, heterozygous tall. Capital T, tall. Likewise, capital T and small t is also tall. One is homozygous, another one is heterozygous. Both capital T and small t are tall in nature. So, three tall plants and one dwarf plant. And among these, capital T is homozygous and capital T small t is heterozygous. Capital T is homozygous and capital T small, see here, capital T is a homozygous dominant tall and or a homozygous plant, and capital T small t is a heterozygous tall. Capital T homozygous tall, capital T small t but heterozygous tall. Then what about small t? It is homozygous dwarf or dwarf. Okay, no need to stress homozygous. The plant having the combination or alleles small t are dwarf in nature. Clear na? Capital T homozygous tall, capital T and small t heterozygous tall. Clear? Now, the term dominant and recessive. Now see, when two alleles traits combined live together, what happens here? The small character, dwarf character is not expressed here. In the presence of capital T, the dwarf character represented by small t is not appeared. So, he called the character which is appeared as dominant character and the character or trait which is not appeared as a recessive character. Okay. Tallness is the dominant character, dwarfness is the recessive character. Clear? The character which is appeared is a dominant character, and the character which is not appeared is a recessive character. That is why he used the term here homozygous dominant tall, all TT, and here homozygous recessive dwarf. Recessive is the character which gets suppressed in the presence of a dominant character. Okay, so here dominant character is expressed character and recessive character is the suppressed character which is not shown. The character which is shown or appeared, expressed is a dominant character, and the character which is suppressed, what it is not shown is a recessive character. And the homozygous having same allele, capital T, likewise small t, homozygous. Then heterozygous having different alleles or dissimilar alleles of a gene, heterozygous. Now, and two more terms, phenotype and genotype. See, phenotype is the visible character. Visible character or physical appearance of an individual is a phenotype, and genotype is the genetic constitution of a character. Phenotype is the visible appearance or appearance, how an organism appears, that is known as a phenotype, and genetic constitution or genes representing that character is a genotype. Okay, let's go back to the same slide here. See, the genotype of tall plants. Here, tall plant, capital T. What is the genotype here? what is the phenotype of the first plant in the table here? Phenotype is tall. Okay. And what is its genotype? Capital T, capital T. And what is the phenotype of the plant in the second column? Genotype? Capital T, small t. And phenotype? Tall, again tall. And what is the phenotype of a third plant? Phenotype tall, genotype capital T, small t. And what is the phenotype of a fourth last plant in green color box? What is the phenotype? Dwarf, genotype small t, small t. Clear na? Physical appearance, how it appears is a phenotype. Genes or genotype, genetic constitution is the genotype. Capital T is the phenotype, and tallness is the phenotype. Capital T is the genotype. Tallness is the phenotype. Capital T small t is the genotype. And in the case of dwarf plants, dwarfness is the phenotype, and small t is the genotype. Okay. Now, so next, what did he do is, everything is clear, I think. He conducted experiments with the other characters also. First he took only one character, then he conducted experiments on other characters also. So he could find that same but similar observations are also found in other pairs of traits, and so from this he concluded that some factors help in the inheritance of characters, and he called them as factors, and now we call them as genes. Now by these experiments, after getting F2 generation, what did he do is found that dwarf F2 plants continue to generate dwarf plants in the F3 and F4 generations. After by self-pollination of the F2 dwarf plants, he observed that in the F3 and F4 generation, dwarf plants were producing all dwarf plants. Okay, so homozygous. So the genotype of dwarf plants were homozygous in nature. Okay, now he could find out some ratios also. After conducting the monohybrid experiment, he could find out some ratios known as a monohybrid ratio. One is a monohybrid genotypic ratio, another one is a monohybrid phenotypic ratio. Monohybrid phenotypic and genotypic ratio. See here, phenotype, you know what? Appearance, and genotypic, genotype means what? Genes. So in the F2 generation, second generation, 3 plants were tall and 1 plant is a dwarf, and so the phenotypic ratio, the character of plants were, but 3 tall plants were there, no? So the ratio, that means 75% of the plants were tall in nature. So the ratio was 3:1, 75:25. 25% were dwarf, 75% were tall in nature. So 75:25, that is 3:1 is the ratio, and he called it as a monohybrid phenotypic ratio. Monohybrid phenotypic ratio. 3 tall is to 1 dwarf. Clear, no? 75% tall, 25% dwarf. That is 3 tall and 1 dwarf. So the ratio 3:1. This ratio is known as a monohybrid phenotypic ratio. Now, when we come to the genotypic ratio, genotype, we can observe that One is a capital T, and two are capital T and small t, and yet another one is a small t, small t. So, one homozygous tall, that is capital T, two heterozygous tall, capital T, small t, and one homozygous dwarf. And this ratio is known as a Mendel's monohybrid genotypic ratio. Mendel's monohybrid genotypic ratio. That is 1:2:1. One homozygous tall, two heterozygous tall, and one homozygous dwarf. 1:2:1. This is the monohybrid genotypic ratio. Monohybrid phenotypic ratio as well as a monohybrid genotypic ratio. Okay, I think everything is clear to you. Here I stop and we'll meet in the next class.